Steve Smith. Welcome to this episode of Cornerstone Horseman Tips. I'd like to briefly share with you how I start to teach my horse how to accept the bridle and how I deal with horses that come to me with some minor bridling issues. First, I want to make sure that my horse is desensitized to pressure around its face, ears, and muzzle. What I mean by that is I want to be able to come over here and rub my horse's face all over and him not try to pull his head away or pop his head up. I just want him to accept this and be nice and quiet. I also want to make sure that I can rub his ears and then I can go over his ears back and forth. This will help me whenever I start to pull the bridle over his ears. Next, I want to make sure that I can rub his muzzle, because this is where the bit's going to go, and a lot of times whenever you start to put the bit in their mouth and they feel that metal around their muzzle or their teeth, they really have an aversion toward it and they want to pull their head up or away and they just want to get away from it. So I want to make sure that he's really used to me having rub down here and the pressure down there. Next, I want to be able to put my finger in the side of his mouth and rub the roof of his mouth, causing him to open his mouth like this. When he starts licking and chewing, that'll allow me that opportunity to go ahead and insert that bit. After I've got my horse desensitized to pressure and I can put my finger in his mouth, I want to make sure that I can get my horse's head lowered. I like to teach my horse to lower his head either by putting pressure around the pole here and getting him to lower his head, or just putting pressure on the halter and getting him to lower his head like this. The reason why I like to lower my horse's head for two reasons. One, I don't like to have to bridle my horse up here and be on my tiptoes. Secondly, whenever my horse's head is down, his head gets on the vertical. And whenever you're starting to slide that bit in and out, you reduce the risk of bumping his teeth. Whenever his head is down like this, his teeth is like this, and the bit will slide in and out with ease without bumping the teeth. Whenever the horse's head is on the diagonal like this, his teeth is like this. And that bit, as it goes in and out, can bump the bottom teeth there. So that's why I like to make sure that my horse's head is on the vertical. Also, I like to have my horse where he'll lower his head, and I can stick my arm over his neck here and just have him accept me rubbing all over. Because whenever I put the bridle on, sometimes I'm in a position like this, and I like my horse to be comfortable with me above him. Once my horse is past that, then I like to go ahead and simulate putting the bridle in rather than putting the bridle in. How I do that is I will take my lead rope while I have the lead rope and halter on them, and I will spread my arms apart like this with the lead rope in my hand, and I'll use about this much rope, folding it over like this. Then now I'm simulating a bridle. This to me is a bridle that I'm simulating. And what I'll do is I'll come over here, get him to lower his head, and I'll bring this around, open his mouth, and insert that bridle just like that. Then I'll pull it over his ears. Now the reason why I do this when I first start to teach my horse is because a lot of times whenever you put the bit in for the first time, they'll have a little bit of aversion, they may move. Well, the bit may bump their teeth, and then it may regress some of your training a little bit, or you'll have to spend a little bit more time. But what I found is if I go with the lead rope, it doesn't bump their teeth, it's a pleasant experience, and they get relaxed about it. Once they're finally relaxed about it and they're consistently accepting the lead rope being put in their mouth like the bridle would be, then I can go ahead and move on to the bridle. Go ahead and loosen it up, take it over the ears, their head's on the vertical, and then I let it out like so. Once my horse accepts this continually, now I'm ready to put in the bridle. Once your horse has passed the prerequisites and you feel pretty comfortable with it, it's time to go ahead and bridle your horse. When I bridle my horse, I like to put on the bridle and make sure that it's a little loose when it goes on, and then I'll tighten it on once I've got it on. Once it's on, I'll go ahead and tighten it up. To where it's just making contact with the horse's mouth. I don't really like to have a wrinkle in there because in my training I like for my horse to yield to pressure. If there's a wrinkle in there, then there's constantly pressure. So I like to put it to where it's just resting on the corner of his mouth there. And this is basically how I start to teach my horses to accept the bridle and how I deal with horses that come to me with some minor bridling issues. I hope that these tips have helped you out. Thanks for watching. God bless you and your horsemanship.